Hi, welcome to Now What with Jeanna. And we already have Maura on. Hi, I think I said that right. Hi, Maura. This is Now What with Jeanna, and I talk here. I answer questions, offer tips, and say stupid shit that I'm going to later regret about sobriety and recovery and addiction. So you've joined us. First of all, I want to say if you have a question, feel free to let me know. I'm trying to watch the screens, but I got a couple screens going on here, including my notes. Hi, Andrea. Glad to see you on here. Let me wave to you guys. I don't think you've seen me on here, Andrea, since I've got the new setup. I don't know. Oh, actually, you guys don't get the new setup on Instagram. We're having trouble connecting. Anyways, you guys don't get the new setup on Instagram, but I decided for the holiday season, I would sit in my chair. I don't have my back massager on, which is probably a good thing for you guys because it makes a lot of noise. But anyways, if you have any questions, please let me know. I will try to answer them if I can. And if I cannot answer them, I will probably make a post about them on a later date. So there we go. Let's see. I've got my screens here. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a friend of ours who lost his life earlier this week. I think it was this week from addiction and actually an overdose. And I just briefly want to talk about him because, he wasn't a real close friend. I'd seen him several times in the rooms. He'd been coming in and out for a while and had struggled with relapse quite a bit. In fact, I was pretty surprised at his last relapse because he was doing very well, and then he wasn't. So in fact, I didn't know he wasn't. So just he wasn't. And I wanted to talk about that because we don't always see that it's going to happen. Not even for ourselves. We don't think, we think we got this. And he seemed like he did. It felt like he did. We got this, and that's just not always the case. So, and I think it's also really important to talk about it during the holidays because this is a time when a lot of relapse happens. And I've talked about it before with different focuses, but this is definitely a time when it happens. And I want to talk about why it happens and how to see that it's going to happen before it happens. A lot of times I hear that relapse happens long before that first drink. And so it's important to know what those signs are and learn how to identify it. On Instagram, I am not sure what's going on, except to say that it pauses in and out. I apologize. I'm not sure, like I said, what's going on. I would assume I'm having some bad reception, but I'm not sure why. I've got it on my phone for you guys, so I usually don't have too many problems with Instagram and the reception. Anyway, so and oh goodness, on Facebook, it just dawned on me, you guys might not be getting my sound so great because my computer might be too far away. Let me see if I can pull that a little bit closer to me. I don't know if that helps you. You're probably not going to see the difference because I have a different camera I'm using. All right, so during the holidays, common causes of relapses during the holidays include holiday stress, parties, and friends and family. And holiday stress, good Lord, let me give you a couple examples because I go through a lot. My big holiday stress, I got several, but the big one is the financial situation with the holiday stress is I want to spend more. I don't think it's necessary. But I remember when my kids were growing up, it was important to buy them the gifts. Of course, I wanted them to have the good holidays. I wanted them to have the good memories. And, I just wanted them to have what I had. And my mom would spend a lot of time stressing out about the financial situation. She bought a lot. She stressed out about her growing up and having bad holidays. And so I guess I don't like shopping. This is the financial part of it for me. I don't like shopping. I hate shopping. It's not just that I don't want to be around crowds. It's that I hit this panic attack. I don't know what it is, but I've done this for the past several years that I get in a situation where I'm in the store and I'm looking at the gifts and I want to get the right one to please other people, to get that, that look for my grandkids that said, "Oh, this is the best thing I ever got." And for my sister that doesn't just shove it aside, not that she does that, but I don't I get all bound up to that whole fear of buying the perfect gift. It becomes very stressful. But other stressful situations, as I said, providing the perfect holiday for your children or your family. And then we also set these high expectations, that everyone's going to show up and it's going to be the perfect Christmas this year. No one's going to get too drunk, and the dinner's going to be great. And then we burn the turkey and everything's screwed from then. So we set these high expectations that could lead to relapse. I am going to go nuts with this Facebook. I'm sorry, Instagram. It's going to drive me nuts. But we get these huge expectations that could lead to relapse. The other thing, parties. So, there are a lot of holiday parties going on this time of year. Christmas Day, there will probably be a holiday party. If you have enough family and they're drinking, yeah, you can consider that a party. But then there's also work parties. And, opportunities to drink when you're around those parties most of the time. I don't know that I've been to work parties. Well, in the past, with my, when I was married, we'd go to my ex-husband's work parties, and it was always a drunk fest. And at those times, I never drank. But my ex-husband did, and I ended up being that designated driver for him. And I remember being surrounded by the alcohol and wishing, I didn't drink at the time. So I just didn't. And I would wish that I could enjoy it the way everyone else was, but I am going to check this Facebook thing real quick. Hold on, guys, because I want to see if I close up some of my past. I don't even know if you guys can see it. I hope I didn't cut it out. Holy cow. I just closed up some files, and hopefully this will help my thing. Anyways, so yeah, he would drink and I would be the designated driver and take care of him. And I'd be around people drinking, and I wasn't a drinker at the time, so I didn't long for the alcohol. But I can imagine now that if I were going to that party today, that might be an issue. There might be something that I wanted to participate in. But there's also people around you who are doing other drugs that, may or may not, go into the bathroom. I used to hear about this. I never did. I have experienced other drugs, but it wasn't my thing. So, but I heard a lot about people going into bathrooms and participating in other drugs in that way. So anyways, Andrea would like to join me live. I'm going to pop in here and go ahead and let Andrea, I think I'm going to let Andrea do that. I'm not so sure. I mean, not that I wouldn't let you do it. I just don't know how. So let's see what happens, Andrea. Go live. See what happens. I hit the button. Actually,
hi.
I took that back. I'm in the middle of getting ready.
Oh, did you hit it on accident?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the people
I'm still listening to you though.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and if you don't mind, drop you off, because I've got this on like 4 different accounts and other people. But let's talk about this. I would love for you to join me on one. Would you do that?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I'd love for that to happen in the future, but I've got this on a couple different computers. And so you're not getting on every account, and I don't know how it showed up, but please, let's do this. All right?
Okay.
Okay. I'll just go ahead and keep you here for a minute.
Okay.
I think. Anyways, Manuel, thanks for joining us. There's we're having some technical not difficulties. I'm playing with new stuff. Okay, yeah, Andrea's popped off. I'm playing with new stuff. So I'm talking about a friend of ours passed from a relapse. And I was talking today about relapses and holiday stress, and how to recognize when a relapse is going to happen. Relapse often will happen just before the actual, not just before the actual drink, long before the actual drink sometimes. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. Right now, I'm talking about the holiday stresses that might cause relapse. I see you, Andrea. Thank you. Please, let's talk. I've been wanting to do a live with someone else for a while, and I haven't had the courage to ask. I wasn't sure who to ask, and so maybe we'll do one in the future. We can talk about that. Anyways, the last one is family members and friends who might cause you holiday stress that might lead to relapse. For me, I've said this before, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but not having family members there, that empty seat can be hard for people sometimes. My empty seats this year, I have two this year. One's my son, which he's been empty. His seat's been empty for a few years, but this one is my dad. This will be our first Christmas without my dad. So that's an empty seat that's going to be hard for us. And those times, and the tears, I know, I won't say because I don't want to expose something I probably shouldn't about someone that's not me. So I won't say it. But I do know that, well, when my son died, I handled it with alcohol. I literally handled it with alcohol. So yeah, that's a potential relapse situation. Also, by the way, if you guys are on Facebook, I've been waiting to see if this is working. I'm using a different program and I cannot see any comments. So if someone can say hi, I do know someone, I think someone's on Facebook watching. If someone on Facebook can say hi, I would truly appreciate that so that I can see whether or not this is working for the comments. I can't comment to people on Facebook and some of the other places because I don't even know if they're popping up, or they may just not be commenting. I don't know. All right. Anyways, that was TikTok. So I'm not even on TikTok. So you got that, lost family members. There's also toxic relationships. Big one. They might not even be alcoholic or drinking or anything. Just those toxic relationships, narcissists in the family who trigger you, or poor relationships from the past who just make you want to drink. So watch out for those. Feeling abandoned. I don't know why I put that, except to say where I was trying to go with that is there are a lot of people who have just caused enough situations that their family doesn't want them around. It doesn't mean they don't want to be around. It means that their family's not ready to have them at the situation, at the event or the holiday. They're scared because the last one, maybe you drank too much and ruined the party, or, and that may make you feel abandoned in some situations. So that can cause some stress and good. Oh my, I remember one Thanksgiving, I was losing friends like crazy. I had no place to go for Thanksgiving. And I remember sitting on the couch, curled up in a blanket, half dressed in my pajamas all Thanksgiving Day, eating popcorn and crying because I had no place to go and was eating popcorn for Thanksgiving instead of turkey. And that's because no one wanted me around, and it just is what it is, but it makes it difficult. I know that particular Thanksgiving, I drank and smoked pot all day, and it's a trigger. So the feelings of abandonment, and then the friends and family that you are connected with, that you are spending time around on the holidays, that are connected with your behavior, your addictive behavior, how you enjoy your time in the past, can cause a trigger and lead you to want to relapse. All of these increased chances of feeling these negative emotions. So I've talked in the past about tips to avoid relapse, but one of the things I really haven't talked about too much, and which is what I want to talk about today, is the idea that really you need to pay close attention to yourself. That relapse can be the one event and you're doing great, And all of a sudden that one event happens, and next thing you know, you're waking up going, what did I do? That's the physical actual relapse. But things prior to that relapse can be leading up to a weakened state, so that other things, so that trigger that one physical relapse happens. Some of those things, there's 3 stages to relapse. One is an emotional relapse, the second is a mental relapse, and the last is the physical relapse. So here's some things to watch for in case you feel yourself to avoid a potential relapse. So the first thing is you start to slip. Your meetings start getting off. I know that one of the things that I would do is isolate, and I still isolate. I still want to, just part of that regenerating of yourself is to get into yourself, and for some people who are introverts, they need that time to themselves. But when you you see it becoming more and more, when you are getting phone calls from people that you may not even think twice about it. I just don't want to talk to them today. I see a Robert. Hi, Robert Jr. Thank you for joining us. We are talking about addiction recovery, and tonight specifically, I'm talking about relapse during the holidays and talking about the signs. So the first one we're talking about, first stage of relapse, is the emotional relapse. And you start to slip, you may start to isolate, you may start avoiding those phone calls. If you're in a meeting, if you're in AA or Celebrate Recovery, I don't know if they have those in Celebrate Recovery. But people from the group, they call you, and you just avoid that. You delete that phone call. I don't really feel like talking. And you may just not feel like talking at the moment. But if you see yourself doing that a lot, you may be beginning to have an emotional relapse. Not attending meetings, also not speaking at meetings. I know that I try to speak at almost every meeting. I've kind of cut back because our night meeting is huge. And so I try to cut back on speaking in those meetings because I don't want to take up time from other people who may need it more than me. But the morning meetings, if I'm not speaking or saying something for several morning meetings in a row, that's not good for me. I'm in an emotional relapse, or in that first stage of that emotional relapse. You might be ignoring yourself in lieu of other people's problems. So, for an example, one of the things I do, or I did do this once, really big time, in early recovery. I saw someone I cared about. Oh, I did this with 2 people now that I think about it. I saw someone I care about struggling, and instead of doing what I needed to do to recover, instead of paying attention to my emotional needs and my self-care and going to meetings, the thing I found myself doing was obsessing over how I can fix them. I just kicked it. Sorry. Obsessing over how I can fix them. And that's a sign of emotional relapse. If you are not wanting to pay attention to your own emotional self-care, and would rather pay attention to what someone else is doing, and how they're recovering, and what they're messing up with, and how you can fix them. If you're paying attention to that, then you might be in the early stages of an emotional relapse. So, all right. And then of course, not paying attention to your own self-care. That, I kind of think that fits in with isolation a little bit. If I'm not getting up and getting dressed on a daily basis, I might not put on makeup some days, and that's normal for me. But if I find that I never want to put on makeup again, that I'm skipping showers, that I am not meditating, oh my gosh, that's so important. If I'm not meditating, I am in the early stages of a relapse. So the second phase of a relapse is the mental relapse. You start feeling those cravings again. I might want to drink today. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. You might be glorifying your past experiences, remembering how much fun it was to be able to go out and have a good time, to have a drink. That it could be an innocent, oh, yeah, beer sounds really good right now. Or it could be consistent over and over again, a beer sounds good. A beer sounds good. If you're saying that every single day, you might be in the phase of a mental relapse. Also, downplaying the consequences. I went to jail twice for public intoxication, and if I'm downplaying the consequences of my public intoxication, it wasn't that bad, I mean, I had a good time in jail, or I met a lot of people in jail, or um, the the DUI, I didn't get one, but it does happen. The DUI wasn't that expensive. I got over it. I spent time in jail, in the hospital because I fell down a set of stairs drunk. Not that big of a deal. And those are big ones, by the way. But if you're downplaying the consequences, all the money, spending too much money on alcohol wasn't that bad. If you're downplaying those consequences, you could be in the stages of a mental relapse. Bargaining. I'll just have one. It's gonna be just one, but it's gonna be 80 proof instead of 100 proof. Or I'm just gonna put Bailey's in. That's only 20 proof, 15 proof. I used to be a bartender, so I know some of this stuff. And an alcoholic, so I know some of this stuff. But yeah, if you're downplaying it, it's not that much. It's just one glass of wine. And also planning for relapse, or seeking opportunities where relapse is a possibility. If you know that going to a concert could put you in what is the word I'm looking for? Going to a concert surrounded by alcohol, if you know that that's going to be a difficult thing for you and you go anyways without this proper support, you're actually kind of planning for the relapse, I mean, you can skip the concert. I never got to see Elton John, and I'm not dying because of it. It sucks, but I'm not dying because of it. By the way, Elton John, if you're watching, I would like to see you in concert. You're welcome to send me a ticket and do one. I don't know, whatever. I early in sobriety, I would go to bars once in a while, and I was pretty strong in my sobriety. Even though it was early, I was on the pink cloud. I wasn't going to relapse. I was okay, but I was putting myself in an opportunity where relapse is possible, and I think it was pure luck that it did not happen. But that's not something that I'm doing right at the moment, and I'm not struggling. It's not that. It's just that I don't see any need to go to bars and to be in those situations. So I don't. And then the last one is physical relapse. And that's the actual drink. And it usually happens in those situations of opportunity. If you have that last bottle laying around, I'm not going to drink it. I'm not going to drink it. And that last bottle's laying around, you are setting yourself up for relapse. And I've heard this again and again. I did this before I was really ready to quit. I would I would not pour out the bottle. I would just not pour out the bottle. Who's going to waste alcohol? I would not pour out the bottle. When I was ready and I was done, when I was completely done and knew that, I just was not going to drink anymore. And I could have gone and bought more, but when I was in that state, pour out the bottle. I just didn't have any need for it. I didn't want to, have it around the house. I didn't want to set myself up for failure. So I poured out the bottle. Now, there was two things. Let's see. I'm looking up at my notes real quick because I feel like I've missed something. So there's two things I wanted to talk about in terms of relapse. The first thing I wanted to talk about is Justin, and what I suspect happened with Justin. I don't totally know. And I didn't want to say any names. It flipped out. Sorry about that. But what I suspect happened with him is that he had been, as far as we know, of course, he's not going to announce that he was using, but he had been clean for about 3 or 4 months, I think, about 3 months, and not using. And so one of the things that happens is when you spend that time without the alcohol, without the drugs in your systems, and he did do drugs, as well as alcohol. When you spend that time without that in your system, your body reacclimates a little bit, so that when you have that first dose, after your recovery time, after your 3 months sober and clean, a lot of times we don't think about that, that clean time and what it does to our body, so that when we take that first dose, it ends up being the same. A lot of people will do the same amount as where they left off, but because they're clean time, their bodies can't handle it. So that might have been a possibility with this potential loss. And I know this because we've talked to several people on the podcast who have lost family members and loved ones, and they said they were clean and they just one time thing, or so they thought, and it was too much for their system, and they overdosed. And the other thing too is that there are a lot of things in the drugs, and we know this. We've been hearing this since kids. My mom used to tell me, "Don't smoke pot because it might be laced." And right now, what they're lacing some of the drugs with is the fentanyl, and that is so unstable that it doesn't take much. And every time you participate, you're risking your life. So be careful of that as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about for the relapses, we hear about relapse being harder than the original addiction. And for me, I used to smoke when I was a teenager, and then I quit for 20 years. I don't know what I was thinking. I quit smoking for 20 years, and then I started, and I don't know why I started. All I know is that when I started, I could not stop. No matter what, it was just going to be one. It was just going to be one cigarette. I'm having a stressful weekend. I'm sad. I'm lonely. I'm going to smoke one cigarette. I was away at a conference, and someone handed me one, and I did. And I wasn't able to quit after that. It was just that. No joke. That weekend, I couldn't take them on the plane, so I threw what I had away. And then as soon as I got off the plane, I got more. And I wasn't going to get more after. I was just that quick. And what happens with this is, the example I give is this forest path, is that, when you are in active addiction, the repetitive motion in you is like, in your brain, what it's doing is it's carving out this path. Your brain likes to go to the easiest, simplest way. So it sees this path of addiction, and it carves out. And so that when you are in a stressful situation, the easiest thing for the brain to do is to go down that path. And for me, the path is to take a drink. I'm in a stressful situation. My brain automatically goes in the direction of take the drink. And when we quit drinking, we have to rebuild new paths in our brain. And how the forest comes in here. So if you've ever walked down a path in a forest, you notice that the trampoline has got cleared the weeds, and the trees above you are at a certain height, because those get cleared as you go. And the path might have been rocky at one point, but it's, and weedy. It's nice and smooth at this point. And that's what your brain does when you participate in a habit over and over and over again. It creates this path. When you stop participating in the habit, you start creating a new path and a new direction for your brain to go to. And your brain doesn't want to do it. It's going to resist, but you can do it if you're actively carving out that new path. It can be done. And the old path starts weeding over, the trees start growing in it, the weeds start coming up, the path gets ruddy, and it's no longer smooth. So you can go down this new path pretty easily. Over time, that new path becomes the easier route. However, when you take that first drink and your brain goes down the other path, because the path is already there, because there was the weeds are not as big and not as solid as they were, that path becomes the very easy path to recarve. I don't know if that makes sense. I know described it to people in the past. Being live, I kind of stutter a little bit and get a little nervous, so it's not coming out as well as I'd like it to come out. But that's what happens with your brain and with habits, and specifically for us in addiction with our alcohol habits. We might have that new path that's a nice smooth path, not as clean as and smooth as we'd like it to be, but it's a better path. But when we relapse, it's that other path, the old one that we've gone down, that we've already carved out, that we've already trained ourselves to follow very easily, becomes the easier path quickly. So don't take the first drink. Don't take the first drink. Anyways, I think that might be pretty close to it for today. However, first of all, I'm prepared for Christmas is my hot cocoa. And you probably can't see, but I'm going to show you. I've got a cup. We're redesigning the cups. Now you can't see, and it's backwards. So we're redesigning. I'm redesigning this cup, but I got some other things going on. We're doing some T-shirts for supporting Now Sober, and they're not ready yet. I've actually got the website put up, but I got to plug in a few things, payment things, and stuff like that. But I'm really excited to be rolling that out. We have a friend of ours who is in recovery. I won't say it. I will let her announce who she is when she's ready. But she's in recovery, and we're hopefully this is going to work out. But she's a very artistic person, and she's going to be working with us on developing that a little bit more. And I'll let you know when it comes out. In the meantime, look for me to start wearing, hopefully, some my sobriety on my shoulders or on my chest. I'm proud to be sober. I'm proud to be recovering. I'm proud of all of the strides I've made into improving my life and my relationships, and to help you guys out. And so I will be wearing some Now Sober gear. I don't wear hats too much, but I really like the Now Sober hat that we've done, and not even just Now Sober. I had one that said peace, love, and sobriety. I think that's love, peace, and sobriety. I think it's love, peace, and sobriety. I designed that one, and make sobriety a habit. I like that one. But then there's I am enough, which is like one of my favorite sayings, is to remind myself I am enough. And I'm going to do something with I am worthy, or you are worthy, or whatever. And anyways, tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and I hope you guys enjoy that. And Saturday? Yep, Saturday is Christmas Day, and I wish you all the merriest of Christmas days. I'm hoping to pop in at least for a minute to say Merry Christmas that day. Actually, Vince and me want to pop in to say Merry Christmas that day. Until then, enjoy your next couple of days. Have a cup of hot cocoa, and I guess that's it. All right. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I guess I will pop out. Bye. Instagram, you're going out a minute after everyone, because I am going to pop out of the other groups first. Bye, other groups.